Because when you think of social injustice, you think of Elvis Presley, don't you?
Didn't he want to be an FBI? Didn't Nixon make him an honorary FBI?
Yeah, that's right, huh? Yeah, I forgot about that.
This is not America. Little piece of you.
Hey, welcome back to Talking Truth to Power, Nevada's Freedom Talk Radio. I'm your host, Brendan Trainor. My co-host, Leland Faegre.
Oh yeah, sorry, I was watching Joe Biden take questions.
And
He has that
Lion,
effect on
dog
people.
face, pony soldier.
Yeah, he has that effect on people.
well, you know, we've been practicing social distancing, Lee, but now we got to start practicing socialism distancing for a while here.
Yeah, really need to get that into order, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. So one of the biggest news and there's been a lot of big news this week, but the fact that the CDC has officially said that COVID-19 only kills 6% of infected people when it's acting alone.
And so, as heretofore, I guess less than 10,000 people.
Yes.
By that definition.
Right.
Yeah. Pretty
So,
interesting.
yeah.
It got no attention almost.
Some of those that it is listed as being COVID deaths are those who die from intentional or unintentional accidents. Like the motorcycle.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And,
walking across the street and getting hit.
Hospitals get federal funds based on COVID-19 deaths and treatments. Nurses have testified that they are under pressure to put COVID-19 on charts when they do not feel it is the correct diagnosis. And U.S. tests are criticized this week for too many false positives and slow processing time. Now, why are we getting false positives? Because
Biden needs them.
Yeah, Biden needs them, right? Our tests, our equipment is so good that we can detect very small amounts of the virus. It could be insignificant amounts. It could be broken bits of virus.
Just traces,
amounts. Yeah, which are not going to infect either the person or tested or the people he comes in contact with. And this is the problem with cost-benefit analysis. We've seen it with the EPA. The EPA under Trump has relaxed the water purity standards, and of course the Greens freak out because the quality of our testing is so good. We can detect smaller and smaller amounts of pollution, but in order to eradicate this pollution, we'd have to spend billions and billions of dollars for something that doesn't really hurt anybody.
And since the EPA came into existence, the Potomac is still polluted.
Yeah. So is the air in Washington.
Yeah, so I mean...
And I think it's a major source of global warming with all that hot air coming out of there. But so... I mean, you know, the idea that if you can just save one life or every life is precious, you can't go by that. You have to make a balance and try to figure out the quality of life that would be saved by, spending more money to try and fix it.
To justify the expenditure.
Yeah, we don't have unlimited resources,
no, we don't.
No matter what the
other side
modern
says.
Monetary theorists want to say.
Yeah.
All right. Now, another thing that you may not read, I don't know if the Nevada papers picked it up, but I understand the New York Times had it like on the back pages, but Trump extended the rental moratorium by invoking a 1944 law on quarantines.
Yeah, no, I'm sure that didn't get any attention.
No. So, unfortunately, people still have to pay it back. Maybe they'll do something about that. But if you are making less than $100,000 a year, and I think in Nevada, our moratorium is still in effect. That Sisolak has extended it again. But in fact, if you're not covered, it's very simple. All you have to do is declare you make less than $100,000 a year, and you can qualify to not be evicted. So, that's a good thing.
Which is most people,
right.
unless it's a
Yeah.
family.
Right. Because those that are making more than $100,000 a year are leaving. Mm-hmm. And many of them are not going to Florida or, they say the U-Haul, the lines to get a U-Haul in the wealthiest parts of New York City, the Upper West Side they can't get them.
Days and weeks. Yeah.
And these people can afford to go to Europe and like Switzerland. And if you can afford if you have a property in Switzerland, you're not making less than $100,000 a year. So they're trying to blame Trump, and I've criticized Donald.
Biden has finished his questions.
Oh, how many did he take?
I don't know, but I didn't see them all. But he put me to sleep before it.
Well, he's trying to question the Trump response, and I pointed out that if you are following the paradigm that the Chinese started with their lockdown, he was right to question the virus back in February. Mm-hmm. I mean, it because of all the countries simply copied what the Chinese did in Wuhan province and shut everything down except for Sweden and Belarus and a few other countries.
It took everyone by surprise.
Right.
So, perfectly normal response.
But his instincts, they keep talking about his instincts. His instincts were probably right.
Impeccable, I think.
Yeah. And then if we had just protected the elderly, the people most vulnerable, the people with underlying comorbidities.
Which we knew from the end of February.
Yes.
And completely over our heads. We didn't take that as a sign of what we should be doing going forward. It's hard to imagine that we were so neglectful of the geriatric people who were confined.
Right. But, Sweden admitted that they had the same problem. They did the same thing. But it's hard to imagine why we didn't protect the people in the senior care homes.
It looked obvious from my living room, that was what we should be doing.
That's where the outbreak first started in Washington State,
Everett, Washington.
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So Trump's instincts once again may have been right, but he was overwhelmed by the bureaucrats, the deep health bureaucracy, the deep state like Fauci. And so, but now he's kind of demoted Fauci.
Yeah, well, Birx and Fauci are out.
Yeah.
Atlas is in.
Yeah.
Here.
Hi, I'm Dr. Dennis Patterson. I'm the founder and owner of Nevada Advanced Pain Specialists. At Nevada Advanced Pain Specialists, we take a comprehensive approach to treating patients with chronic pain in the greater...
This overload.
Shannon Lawson here. Join us for the Nevada Radio Roundup, Fridays at 2 p.m. A good news variety show all about the local scene. The Nevada Roundup, Friday at 2.
To join the conversation, call 844-790-TALK. That's 844-790-8255. Now, back to the show.
Welcome back to Talking Truth to Power of Nevada's Freedom Talk Radio. I'm your host, Brendan Trainor, and I'm here with Leland Faegre. And the violence that we've seen has really accelerated over this last week. And some people are thinking we might be descending into a civil war.
Now that shots are fired?
Yes.
Yeah. It should be more obvious to people now.
Yes. So we have the Kyle Rittenhouse incident in Kenosha. And the left is trying to portray him as a vigilante that brought a gun to a riot over state lines, and all of these are being debunked. He did not bring the gun in from his home, which is only 20 miles away from Kenosha.
He's too smart for that, apparently.
No. He's a smart kid, apparently.
Obviously.
Yeah. And a good shot, too.
Apparently so.
So, I mean, the kid has obviously been terrorized here. He was trying to put out a dumpster fire, which might have been rolled into gas station pumps. and they chased him across the service lot, car service lot, and someone fired a shot in the air, so there was a shot behind him. Somebody threw a brick or something at him that landed a few feet away from him, and then this character Rosenbaum charged him.
And we use him for Jews in the News, huh?
We could use him for Jews in the News, yeah. He's
he's got a rap sheet, huh?
Yes, he does. First of all, he was a Class 3 sex offender, which means the offense was someone under 15 years of age. And then he when he was in prison, he had 42 disciplinary infractions: assaults, committing sex acts, stalking, manufacturing a weapon, and arson. But somehow he was released from prison. And they just had filed charges for battery as domestic abuse last month. So this is the hero that the left would like to say was trying to stop the dangerous vigilante.
Right. And did you mention that Rittenhouse did not bring his firearm from neighboring Illinois?
Right, he didn't. No, yeah. he has friends there. That's probably the city. He lives in Little Antioch, Illinois. Kenosha is probably the big city to him. And 17-year-old, he probably goes there on the weekends a lot, you know. And
I would.
Yeah. And obviously he hunts because he really knew how to handle that weapon.
He knew his way around firearms, didn't he?
Yeah. So that was when the Daily Caller, if you watch Tucker Carlson, that's the Daily Caller reporter took off his shirt and put it on the head wound of Rosenbaum. And then Kyle calls a friend, but then the mob comes after him again. So he runs north on the street. He's a great kid, but is a little pudgy. He may not have been in great shape. Somebody hit him or tripped him up, and he fell. And somebody came by and kicked him in the head, a flying kick to the head. And then this next guy, Anthony Huber, jumped him and tried to press a skateboard into his head.
Was he the guy that tried to take the rifle away?
Yes, he probably tried to take the rifle away, yes.
That's what I saw, yeah.
Yeah, and Rosenbaum may have too. The video isn't that great with Rosenbaum. So then he quickly raised his arm-slung assault rifle and shoots skateboard man in the chest. And who is Huber? Huber is a domestic abuser with a rap sheet including strangulation, use of a dangerous weapon, and false imprisonment.
So obviously Visigothian.
Yes. And, you know, he has a GoFundMe page set up on behalf of his girlfriend, and he's racked up...
How's that doing?
Yeah, he's racked up more than $100K on that.
Man, he's going to need it.
And funeral expenses.
Yeah.
And Kyle Rittenhouse was refused to have a GoFundMe page, but as we all know, he's got attorneys willing to defend him for pro bono.
And I saw one of them, and he's very articulate. I have extraordinary confidence in that story. Yeah.
Right. And then the next attacker was also a felon in possession of a firearm, and he blew away this guy's bicep, although they seem to have managed to put it together in hospital, the wonders of American medicine.
Mm-hmm.
But
prosthetic elbows and all that stuff.
So he was a pistol-toting anarchist in his 40s, and he had been convicted of felony burglary and theft in 2013. He had violated his probation. He had another arrest in 2017. So, and he said the only thing he regretted was that he didn't kill Rittenhouse. Yeah.
That sounds about right.
Yep. Law and order. So, that's only one of the violences we've seen. We had Rand Paul and his wife being attacked as they left the RNC. Mm-hmm. And everybody in America got to see that.
Bongino was also assaulted.
Bongino, yep. And this last guy, his name was Gage Grosskreutz, the one who was shot in the arm. He belongs to a group called the People's Revolution in Milwaukee. They're a group that supposedly spun out from the Bernie Bros. And it would be interesting to investigate them to see if there are any more...
like him?
Shock troops, Bernie Bros shock troops running around in the streets.
I'm guessing he's not the only one.
Yes. So now, Jacob Blake, that story that caused the whole Kenosha riots, that's kind of confusing. We don't know all the truth about that, but I've got a different theory on this. I think that the girlfriend is really the one responsible for this whole mess.
She apparently called law enforcement.
Right.
And Candace Owens has commented on this. Did you see what she had to say?
No, I didn't.
Well, I
thought this up all by my lonesome.
Well, she goes into considerable detail. I'm not sure where she's getting this, but I don't think anybody's challenged her on this. And of course, it's such detail that I wouldn't necessarily think it's appropriate for this program. But it's this guy had apparently a weapon that he took into the residence where she lived and where she called law enforcement. So I think it's going to bear out pretty much as we've heard from our sources rather than from, the other side of the aisle. So.
Right. But I think this might be a good argument for sending social workers out instead of cops on these kind of calls. I mean,
well, depending upon what happens, yeah.
Right. I mean, but I don't have a great faith in social workers either. I mean, if you call the police, they shoot your dog. If you call the social workers, they take away your kids. So it's kind of a catch-22. But
it's best just to avoid the whole kind of an environment that they're finding themselves in.
Don't call the cops unless somebody is actually really being seriously threatened physically. Don't call the cops for these kind of things. It's just, it rarely works out right. And there's a lot of people, I'm sure, listening to the show that feel the same way.
Well, I think the implication was from Candace Owens' tweet was that it was an implied rape, is what we're hearing from that. So that's why she called law enforcement.
Oh, I don't know. I that may be true, but I think it may be more like just a domestic dispute. The kids are in the car. He wanted the car. He'd been taking the car keys ever since he knew this woman.
Well, I'm sure that those kinds of things happen, but according to her, that is Candace Owens, it got much more personal than that. So.
Well, yeah, then we'll see. But I don't know. I don't see what the rape came into it, but I didn't see what Candace had to say. So
it's hard to question Candace Owens.
I mean, he had 3 kids by her, and he had this long-term relationship. They never lived together. We don't know if Blake has other kids by other women either.
Well, that's part of Candace Owens' statement.
Yeah. So, okay. But the thing is, again, this whole thing is blown up and started a riot over someone that definitely, I mean, the police technically were justified, even though 7 shots in the back seems like a lot.
Seems like overkill, but he resisted arrest.
Yeah.
So, it's hard to...
Well, he walked away from them. He wasn't running. He walked away from them. And
when we pick up the story, he wasn't running.
Right. Okay.
According to the original report was that he took a swing at one of the cops.
I don't know. We will have to. I think this will all have to come out in court. But they did. Apparently, they did vacate the warrant that was on him that caused them to want to arrest him.
A whole lot of people in trouble with the law there in Kenosha, huh?
and
they seem to find themselves in the streets.
And we haven't even gotten to Portland yet.
Yeah, I know.
So we have this Aaron Danielson, a.k.a. Jay Bishop, the Patriot Prayer. And the one time they had a Trump demonstration, now they did use paint guns, the Trump people, and bear spray. They got to cut that out. I mean, it's low-level violence, but the left is going to jump on it and say it's violence.
Yeah, but it took them 90 days to get in there and deploy any of that mean stuff.
Yeah, I know. And, they said, hey, we got one.
Yeah.
Pull it out. And then bang, bang, he's dead. Mm-hmm. I mean, that looks to me like obvious murder. And they had the guy in custody, and they let him go.
Yeah, he had been in custody, yeah. Mm-hmm.
They also had a homeless man in custody and let him go.
And he has a Black Lives Matter tattoo in the back of his neck.
Right, like a fist,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
they had a homeless man in custody, let him go, and then 2 days later he stabbed 2 people.
Yeah,
Dead.
well, yeah, that's the pattern.
Right.
Did you know that stem cells are present in all of us, just waiting for an opportunity to regenerate your organs and other body tissues? Studies show that your own stem cells are released into...
This is America Matters Media on AM 1180 KCKQ, a Lotus broadcast station. The power of radio since 1967.
Are you shy and don't want to talk on the air? Text us your questions or comments to 775-237-2266. Now, back to the show.
Welcome back to Talking Truth to Power, Nevada's Freedom Talk Radio. I'm your host, Brendan Trainor, and along with Leland Faegre, we bring you the Freedom News every week. And we were talking about Oregon, and the only thing that the left and the right agree with, and as far as Portland goes, is that Mailer Wheeler has to go.
Yeah, I think so. That's pretty clear. You not only does he have to go, if you don't leave, we're going to burn your house down.
Yeah. So they had a fiery but mostly peaceful demonstration.
I'm sure Soros gave him a call and said, "Listen, let's move you somewhere else." He's got to be tight with Soros.
Yeah, I think so. But the so instead of arresting the people that tried to burn down his condominium, he's moving out. Mm-hmm. Because
we don't want this guy in the armed services, do we?
No. Maybe the French armed services.
Yes, right.
And there's a county in Oregon, Clatsop County, that has a Second Amendment initiative on the ballot to eliminate all federal and state gun restrictions, including background checks. Mm-hmm. And so that
mirrors most of the counties in Oregon, actually.
Yeah.
They all want out.
Yeah.
There have been, and I think they want to go county by county, but they want to annex their counties with Idaho. Who can blame them?
No.
And the only county I think that has resisted that is Portland itself.
Yeah, Portlandia.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you ever see the show Portlandia?
No.
Oh, they've been making fun of the liberals in Portland for years.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Where do I find that?
It was on the HBO, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, no, that mindset, that paradigm has been in existence there in Portland for, I guess, a generation or so.
Yeah. Another, though, there's also on the ballot an initiative to decriminalize all possession of all drugs, including hard drugs, fentanyl, heroin, all of them. So it'll be interesting to see if that passes. If that passes, that would be an excellent first step.
Yeah.
But
we'll give them no reason to answer a call in most cases.
Right.
Yeah.
No reason to, I think the B should put out that the Oregon police are opposed to it because they'll no longer be able to put baggies on suspects that they pull over.
The B?
Black stuff. So yeah, the B. Yeah. But Michael Moore is flipping out because surveys are showing that Trump has an approval rating with blacks, and don't forget you have to capitalize blacks.
I'd forgotten that.
Yeah. Is close to 30%, some of the surveys.
It's been that way. I've seen numbers up to 34% on Rasmussen surveys.
If that holds true, the Dems are toast.
They can't win without.
No, they can't win without a large black turnout and no more than 10%.
But you see, if they don't vote for Biden, they ain't black.
And you've got yeah, so that has got more freaking out, and it's good now. You want to have a little fun with Google?
And by the way, Michael Moore was right about 2016. He'll be right about 2020 as well.
Yeah. Do you want to have a little fun with Google?
Can we?
Yeah.
Okay.
Go to your Google search engine and put in Biden, Joe Biden, PLAG, and see what it auto prompts.
PLAG?
Yeah.
Doing it now.
What does it auto prompt?
Says Joe Biden flag, echoes of Biden's 1990. Oh, plagiarism. Ah, I see where you're going here, huh? And he has a brand new plagiarism charge, doesn't he? Isn't that what I'm hearing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you put it on Bing. Oh, did it say plagiarism now?
Yeah, plagiarism comes up in association with with that criteria. Yeah.
Well, that's new then, because for the last week it's been just coming up with references to flag.
Well, that's what comes up first.
Right.
But then plagiarism is second.
If you do it on Bing, then it would come up plagiarism right away.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, he's in his acceptance speech at the DNC. His final statement sounded a lot like a statement. The cadence was exactly the same. It was like three similes, three in a row. It sounded exactly like a speech given by, or a letter actually, a dying letter given by the New Democratic Party of Canada's Jack Layton several years ago. So there is a plagiarism accusation pattern there again.
He can't help it, apparently.
No, he can't. So, and did we mention that Trump has found a way around the fact that Wheeler refuses to allow him to send in the Federal National Guard?
This is genius.
I know. He's deputizing the Oregon State Police.
Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah. So if they make an arrest, if the state police make an arrest, it'll be the arrest will be processed by U.S. Marshals. Mm-hmm. Instead of by the Oregon, the Portland DA has been setting all these people free for the last 90 days.
Now, the chief of police in Portland this morning, I heard, sort of give way to the trend that he, has a sense of.
Right. Put his finger up in the wind.
Yeah, he knows that it's not going in the direction that it has been for the last 3 months, and so I picked up on that. But, it's still going to be a nightly affair until the feds really get into gear there.
Right. Yeah, so, the fiery but mostly peaceful protests will be continuing. And and then we have the hypocrisy of the left. We have the mayor of Chicago that cordons off her own block. Well, the working class people in Chicago have to fend for themselves.
Well, she's had her home assaulted.
Right. So she's cordoning off the whole block and calling in police protection.
Yeah.
And
she's the face of Chicago.
Right. And that's not a pretty face.
So she has to have her hair cut and her grass is mowed and that sort of thing. So we can't have people, standing on the lawn and that sort of thing.
Right. But we can prosecute the McCluskeys for standing outside their property with a gun. We can
prosecute them.
Because, we can't have these people with guns. It's all gun violence. That's what it is. And unfortunately, most of the guns, or nearly all the guns that are doing the violence, are in the hands of the left, the BLM, a.k.a. Antifa crowds that have been tearing up our cities now. And the Democrats, they're trying to blame it on Trump. It's all Trump's fault. He's so divisive.
He is, yeah.
I think they're frustrated because that fascist Trump just won't send in the troops like they want him to.
Well, I think they'll get around to actually preferring it because they're not making any progress on their campaign with all of this violence in the streets,
Right.
It's working against them. I don't know how they ever thought it wouldn't work against them. Are these people beyond just being socialists? They're also stupid socialists? Is it that simple?
I think, like I said, I think you repeat yourself. That they're politicians, they're stupid politicians and they're socialists, but I repeat myself. Mm-hmm. So that's it. The thing is that the rich are fleeing. New York, people are predicting that New York City will never come back.
I'm one of those.
Yeah. I mean, if we're going to do so much remote work now that we don't, thanks to our technology, we don't need to have all these skyscrapers and big office buildings, perhaps, in New York.
Right.
13,000 apartments vacant in New York City.
Well, it's dangerous. It's a dangerous place.
Oh, yeah.
It has to be. I mean, it wasn't. I don't know what your experience is. You've lived there, obviously.
Right.
But my experience in New York City was not particularly great. The last time I was there. And it's nothing like it is now. So.
Right. Yeah. It's nothing like it was when I was there either. But the fact is that we're on the precipice here, and what the Democrats are saying is, a lot of them are saying, and the scenario could be that Trump appears to win on Election Day.
Yeah, that's an Axios theory.
Yeah, but then after all the mail-in ballots are counted weeks later, it could show the Democrats have won.
Which is why Hillary said, nearly a week ago, that
never concede.
Never concede, because they know all those things are going to be ballot harvested. They're coming in. And as long as they're out there, you got to count the votes. Biden has hired 600 attorneys.
I know. It's the dream team for sure.
I'm thinking that's probably not as many as he needs.
Right.
He may hire some more.
I'm sure the Democrats could bring up a bunch more attorneys because that's one of their main constituencies.
So it's important that on the 3rd of November that the vote is overwhelming for Trump, because that will stave off that approach to the election. But I still say it's going to be, there won't be an immediate result.
Yeah. And so...
they can't have that.
Biden has said that if Trump wins, does anybody think the violence will subside? And that's why they're going to keep it up.
Exactly.
Yeah. The fiery but mostly peaceful protests will continue.
There is no end to their... I mean, even if they were to understand just how unique this is and how ineffectual it will ultimately be, they still have to deal with another 4 years of Trump. You think that's going to stop for, until 2024?
Impeach 46.
We're in a new American Civil War.
Hi, this is Eddie Floyd. Let me tell you about my favorite non-profit public charity, Wainema Wild Horse Sanctuary, located on the Forsythe Ranch in Hallelujah Junction area. And please go to www.wainemaranch.com. That's WYNEMA ranch.com.
Getting to know you.
Let me tell you about America Matters with Eddie Floyd. It comes on every Monday at noon. Don't want you to miss it. That's America Matters with Eddie Floyd.
Want to expand your advertising dollar? Sponsor this or any America Matters program by calling 775-827-8900, extension 2. Now, back to the show.
Hey, welcome back to Talking Truth to Power. I'm your host, Brendan Trainor, my co-host, Leland Faegre. And if we're being heard now in Montenegro, aren't we?
Oh, I think so.
Yeah, because Montenegro's been in the news.
And they're waking up in Asia to our show. I can see that from here.
All right. So we're going to talk a little bit foreign policy, but first I want to say, did you hear over the weekend that the notorious public liar, James Clapper, and Adam Schiff, who is a liar as well, they both blame the BLM riots on Russia?
They were, yes, they did assign some Russian legitimacy to that. I did see that, but I didn't read the story. I don't take them seriously. But,
no, but I mean, everybody else on the left, on the Democratic Party, is also blaming everything on Russia. If they're not blaming it on Trump, they're blaming it on Putin. So, but we're going to talk a little bit about Macron, the president of France, who is trying to assert French power again. And there's a country in Africa which is just south of Libya called Mali, and the northern part is Arab. It's part of the Sahara Desert. It's a big country geographically, but doesn't have a whole lot of people. And then when you go down to the south, it's more of Mali. It's mostly black African. So they have a big jihadi problem. And Macron, they were about to seize the capital, the jihadis, and raise the black flag over that. But Macron had to send in troops to save it. It's a former colony, but this is just more Libya blowback. This is just more Susan Powers and Hillary Clinton.
Sure. Yeah.
Destabilized the whole area.
Yep. They destroyed it. This is the result.
Right. And he's also tried to assert control over Lebanon again. And he's said that if they don't reform the government, he's going to do some unspecified something, sanctions or whatever in Lebanon. Macron.
Yeah.
I mean, that whole area used to be called Canaan, in the old days. That was the word for it. Now it's called the Levant, which is a French word, because France, part of Sykes-Picot, France got Lebanon as part of the Sykes-Picot Agreement after World War I.
And if you're in that region, Britain in particular, if you get an English-speaking British source,
right.
They use language like that. They use the suppositions that it's this and it's that, and you think, oh yeah, they're talking about the same thing. They're just using different geography.
Someday we'll have to talk a little bit about Canaan and its history and what the Bible says about it and what the real history is. And then, because they claim, the Zionists claim that they have this biblical right. Actually, they claim they have the right to everything from the Nile to the Euphrates. That's the Eretz Israel that they claim they have.
Yeah.
But if you look at the Bible, they didn't really own of that area.
Not really there.
But anyway, so Macron is sticking his nose in that. But one thing that he is sticking his nose in that he's probably right is this new dispute between Turkey and Greece over Cyprus, because Turkey has been illegally, northern Turkey is ethnically Turkish, but they have claimed it as a sovereign state. Nobody else recognizes it. And they're exploiting the oil offshore in Cyprus. Now, over the weekend, Turkish jets, Turkey has been violating Grecian airspace for a long time, and Greece has been kind of taking it. But over the weekend, they actually locked onto some Grecian jets. They didn't fire at them, but, locking onto them is considered
Erdogan has been pushing the envelope there.
Right, a lot.
Recently, in particular, yeah.
So Macron has come to the defense of Turkey, and he's saying, so he wants to be the policeman of the Mediterranean.
Because he's a colonialist at heart.
He is. He's a neo-colonialist. He can't let go.
He can't let globalism out of your psyche once
he's
it's in
the
there.
Cosmopolitan.
He really is.
But I don't even know if Macron can juggle this many balls at
Yeah,
once.
I don't think he can. Where is he in the polls there in France now?
Well, I mean
he was
really bad off. I haven't seen any polls, but as far as I know, the Gilets jaunes is still demonstrating there, and I'm sure that Le Pen is, Marine Le Pen, she's still doing well.
Yeah, she's still in opposition.
Right, so we'll see about the Macron. Another thing that happened in Europe over the weekend is little Montenegro had an election. You remember how Pat Buchanan used to mock how getting Montenegro into NATO was a big mistake.
And Rand Paul as well.
And Rand Paul, right. Mm-hmm. Because they contribute, 1,000 or 2,000 troops?
Yeah.
And they're in the Balkans, which is where many wars have started in the Balkans.
Heated.
Yeah, they're almost all Orthodox Christian, and they're very close to Serbia. And if you're close to Serbia, you're close to Russia. They were, it's one of those countries that was carved out of Yugoslavia by Clinton and NATO in the 1990s. So after 30 years of pro-NATO rule, the opposition parties eked out a narrow victory just by one seat. But it's sending shockwaves through the Balkans. I saw people in Serbia were celebrating because of this. After 30 years of exclusive NATO-oriented, Western-oriented rule, now they're very close to becoming another one of the joining countries like Hungary and Poland and so on is moving out of the Western Bloc.
Yeah, and for 650,000 people.
Yeah, I know.
It.
So we have a commitment to defend Montenegro.
A military commitment.
It's insane.
It is totally insane.
Right. So Montenegro rises. Yeah.
And you can't talk to those people because, they're going to take the other position. We deserve to be here and there and
everywhere.
And,
yeah. So, and we haven't really touched on it, but we've had incidents now with Russia and Syria. We're still in Syria, believe it or not. And the Arab tribes are getting very upset about the fact that we're trying to control those oil fields. Because they don't like the Kurds. The Kurds and the Arabs don't get along.
Yeah, there's no way that can be handled well, I don't think.
Nope. So the Kurds are supposed to be guarding the bases, but we've been, the Russian and American troops are now operating in close proximity, and we had an incident over the weekend where they came to blows. There was one of our outposts. I think it was our outpost fired on Russian trucks. Russian trucks rammed into trucks near that outpost.
And there were injuries that resulted.
There were injuries, yeah. Nobody was killed, but so we need to finally get out, and I'm hoping that the Donald will finally get out. I mean, he keeps talking about it, and he keeps getting opposition from the deep state. So hopefully we can conclude.
Well, just as there's supposed to be a vaccine by November 1, as I'm seeing on Drudge as we speak.
Yeah, but 40% of Americans say they're not going to take the vaccine.
I also think that he's going to make some significant withdrawals from the region by the same day.
I hope so.
Yeah,
I hope so, because if he pulls troops out, very often it's the surges that he fought against in his administration. He's just reducing it back to the Obama level.
Right.
He's got to cut further. He's got to cut deeper into that.
But his establishment that he has to work with doesn't want that.
No, they don't.
And he doesn't really have control over his own branch of government, I don't think.
But if he would only get rid of Pompeo, but Pompeo is not a fool. He's been staffing the State Department with neocons, So there's going to be, if Pompeo goes, there's still going to be resistance from within the bowels of the State Department.
Yeah. So. And the Lincoln Project, I've been reading just randomly some of the tweets that I see from the Lincoln Project on Trump. Yeah. Those people are incoherent, aren't they?
Well, yeah, I would think so.
What I've read there has exacerbated the problem beyond, the justification for the language used. I don't see if that's representative of the Lincoln Project, what I've been reading, those people are just certifiably nuts. They should be on a couch.
Well, some of them are grifters. They're in it for the money. Some of them.
Yeah.
And
but they can't possibly believe what they're actually writing.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not scribes, if you know what I mean. They're people that just jot down. That the Twitter is just a cesspool of worthless thought and effort, I think.
Well, I mean, yeah, but if you say anything worthwhile, you're liable to be canceled off or suspended. The latest is they suspend you for 12 hours if you say anything that. Like if you when we found out about the 6% in COVID-19, there were several people that got suspended for 6 hours for a matter of semantics.
Well, I think Facebook responded too.
Right.
The Facebook police did their best to sort of shape that argument in such a way that it doesn't have the significance that it should have. I mean, less than 10,000 deaths.
Right.
Legitimate deaths from COVID.
From the actual COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a far cry from 180,000.
We used to just ignore these flus. I think we even ignored the pandemic in 1918 to a large extent.
Maybe we'll ignore this one. The next one, I should say.